everyone, welcome to another maths video by Maths with Sarah. So today we're going to be taking a look at this question that involves probabilities. So probabilities, I feel like, can either be very straightforward or really a little bit challenging. This one I think fits into the slightly more challenging category. We've got quite a lot of information to start with, and then we've got to use that information to try and work out the remaining probabilities. So we've been told that there are some counters in a bag. We've got blue, green, red or yellow. And we've been given a couple of the probabilities. So if a blue counter is taken at random, there's a 0.32 probability chance that it'll be blue. If the probability that a green counter will be taken from the bag is 0.2. We haven't got values for red or yellow, but we have been told that the probability that a red counter is taken is 5 times the probability that it will be yellow. And we know that we've got 300 counters in the bag. We've then been asked to work out the number of yellow counters in the bag. So there are a lot of different steps to this. Just even reading it, I think, is enough to confuse people because there is so much information that has been thrown at you. So the important bits are, we've got the table. We know that we're going to probably be trying to fill in the numbers in these gaps. We have also been told that the probability that a counter is red is 5 times the probability that it's yellow. So this is another important piece of information. We're obviously going to need to know the number of counters because we've been asked to work out the number of yellow counters. So as with a lot of the maths problems, there are a number of different ways that you can solve this. I am going to, so either you can work out what these probabilities are here, or you can work out the number of counters and then use it that way. That's the way that I'm going to do it. So I'm going to work out how many blue counters, how many green counters, and then we can work out how many red and yellow counters there are. Personally, that works with numbers that kind of numbers that aren't decimals. So in my head, I feel like that makes it slightly easier. But if you're very, very comfortable working with decimals, then by all means do it. Work out the probabilities and then use that to work out how many yellow counters there are. So what we know is that there are 300 counters in the bag. The probabilities, as we know, are always going to add up to a total of 1. So that means it's something certain. So we know that if we pull a counter out the bag, it is certain that it will either be blue, green, red or yellow, assuming no one's stuck any extra ones in there. We know that there are 300 counters. And so what we can do to work out how many blue counters there are is we can do the probability times by the total number of counters in the bag. So to work out how many blue counters there are, we can do 300 times by this probability times by 0.32. And if we do that sum, again, you get a calculator for this exam, so it's not something you're going to have to do in your head. Then we get 96. We know that 96 of the counters are blue. If we then do the same for the green counters, we know there are 300 in total, and we know that 0.2 of them are green. So if we multiply the total number of counters by the probability that they're green, then we get 60 counters. So we know we've got 96 blue counters and 60 green counters. So if we add these two numbers together, we can then do a little bit of maths to work out the total number of red and yellow, what red and yellow is in total. So if we add these together, then we get 156, so that we know that 156 of the counters are either blue or green. So that therefore means that the remaining counters is 144. And we know that these are split between some of them being red and some of them being yellow. We know that the red and yellow counters, if we were going to write that as a ratio, we know that the red and yellow counters are split in a 5-to-1 ratio. So for every 1 yellow counter, there are 5 red counters. So the way that I find it easiest to work out this sort of ratio is to total these. So we know that that equals 6. But rather than that, we know that the total number should in fact be 144. So therefore, in order to work out how many of each of these are, we need to work out what we need to times 6 by to get to 144. So we do 144 divided by 6, and that will give you 24. So we know that we need to times 6 by 24 to get 144. So if we do the same for these two numbers, if we do that times by 24, we're going to end up with 120 to 24. Doesn't look much like a 2, but I promise you it is. So we've got 120 to 24, and that suggests that there are 24 yellow counters, but I strongly advise you to check at this point. So we can check this in a number of different ways. The easiest way probably to check it is to add up all these, add up 96, 60, 120 and 24, and we should get 300. And that gives us a pretty good indication that we have got this answer right. We can also check it by doing 24 times 5, which, because we've said that we know there's 5 times more red counters than there are yellow counters. So if we do 24 times 5, we do in fact get 120. So again, we can be pretty sure from this part that we've got it right, and also from totaling the number of counters, we know that we have got 300. So it's a really good idea to kind of think of these little strategies just to help you check that your answers are correct, because if you've made a silly mistake somewhere, you're going to pick them up when you get to this point. If you start checking and you've not got it right, you've made a silly mistake somewhere, you're going to be able to pick them out really quickly. Okay, so this was a probability question. Probability, I think, sometimes gets a bit of bad press because it's maybe not one of the most interesting topics, but there are definitely some really good questions involved in probability. So hopefully this is something that you now understand a little better than you did to start with. If you're having problems with any other topics, there's loads on my channel, so I really advise you to like and subscribe to that, and then hopefully you'll be able to look at any more videos that come out soon. Thank you for watching.